What's happening, guys? My name is Anthony, and in today's video we're doing another league racing video. Now there's something a little bit different about the start of this, and that's the fact that we're already on lap 7 of the race. And that is because this video is going to be focusing mainly on PSGL at Spa, whereas this is the Austrian Grand Prix at PSGL. I wanted to show you guys quickly what happened during this race and why I haven't made a video on it. So as you can see, we made a huge mistake in turn 1, and we almost made a huge mistake going into turn 3. I'm not sure what happened this lap. The tyres, I'm guessing the tyres just went for some reason. I'm not entirely sure why, but yeah, we're losing quite a few positions quite rapidly here, and you can see we now have lost the positions to both of the Ferraris. But moving on to this corner, which is a turn 5, I believe, we take the corner exactly how we have the entire time, and yet for some reason the car just span. I've had a few people look at this for me, and we can all agree that it's very bizarre that I spun in that situation. And obviously FedEx as well, who was behind us, crashed into us, and due to that we had damaged the whole race to our side pods, made the car very difficult to drive, and as you can see on lap 33 we ended up spinning and DNFing entirely. Yeah, I did try to continue that lap, but not continue the lap, continue the race, but you know how it is, with the damage and stuff. It was very difficult, and after I spun I just pretty much gave up at that point. But now we move on to Spa, and you can see we're on the first lap, and it's actually supposed to be raining later on in this qualifying session, which I was very confused about, because beforehand when we looked at the weather, there was no rain in sight. But I guess maybe PSGL have switched the broadcast weather thing to approximate. I'm not entirely sure, but either way I was ready to do my laps, and the first lap, it was very mediocre. The entire lap was very mediocre, but during sector 2 I made a lot of very crucial mistakes, and that lost us a lot of time. And we're not just talking like a couple of attempts. I pretty much lost about half a second plus more through the second sector alone. I did check my lap times compared to the guy who was on pole at the time, which I do believe was Jack. Can't fully remember, but yeah, our first sector and our last sector were pretty much the exact same as the guy who was on pole, but our second sector I believe was like 7-8 tenths slower. So that's where we lost all the time. So I knew that we had a lot of time in the bag. And then moving on to our second and final lap now, this rain is imminent at this point, so I'm ready to do this lap as quickly as possible so that we can get through this lap with as little rain as possible. So let's see how we do on this lap. So going into the first corner, braking just before the white line on the 100-meter board, down into third gear, missing the apex just slightly there. Could have been a little bit closer so that we could have got a better exit out of turn 1. Either way, we're up almost about 800ths now, and as we go through El Rouge and Radion, really it's a flat out corner by now. You guys should know this, so you pretty much just have to try and take the best line that you can. And then moving on to the back straight here, again just preparing yourself for these next corners, braking just in between the 100 and the 50-meter board, taking the curb on the right and also taking the curb on the left, and then coming out of those little chicanes, taking the curb once again. And you can see now we're already about 3.5 tenths roughly up on our time, and we've still got more time to make up during this section of the track. As you can see, going through No Name, we gain almost 2 tenths. I believe it's like 1.5, 1.75 tenths or something like that. And then going through Puon again, just making up some more time there. We did pretty well on that previous lap as well, so not really much time to be made up there. This corner pretty much on the limit. Any more to the right and I would have invalidated there. I was actually quite nervous that we would have invalidated this corner. Taking it in 5th gear, probably should have went down to 4th and just used more of the curb, but we didn't. And either way, we still made up a little bit of time, so it's not too bad. You can see now we're about 6 tenths up, almost 6.5 tenths up, going into the bus stop chicane. I do believe I kind of messed up the bus stop chicane in the previous lap, so I was trying to go for a better one here, but you can see, I don't know, I feel as if I went just a little bit too deep into the bus stop there, and because of that we lost quite a bit of time. But either way, we do a 42.2, which again, very disappointing. I was actually expecting the pace to be quicker than that, but if you take a look at everybody's times here, which we did finish just in front of our teammate, times were a lot slower than I was expecting. So I actually think it's due to the fact that the track was just simply not as quick as it would be in perfect conditions. But either way, moving on, we got 5 red lights for the Belgium Grand Prix in PSGL, and lights out and away we go. And as usual, we actually get a pretty decent start. If you guys do want to know how to get better starts in your league racing video, I'll have a link in the description or the pinned comment section so that you guys can check out how to get better starts on F1 2021 and gain those positions. But moving on, right now we're just thinking about, you know, our race pace. We didn't really practice for this one because I've been doing a lot more streams recently due to the My Team series that we have just started, and because of that I haven't really had as much time to practice for PSGL. So going into this race, as we get a little bit of a bump from Raven behind us, which almost made us go into the back of Matthias once again, as you may have seen from the Austrian clip. Yeah, I wasn't really expecting our race pace to be too good, but at the same time, I wasn't expecting it to be too bad either. So I guess we'll see whether or not our race pace is decent enough as the race goes on. But you can see our teammate is now behind us. I'm not sure what happened to Raven. Maybe he got a little bit of wing damage after he hit the back of us, because it was a pretty big hit. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I mean, it managed to push me all the way to the point where I almost took myself and Matthias ahead of me out. But speaking of taking Matthias out, he ends up getting clipped from Dozan. I think maybe he just went a little bit too deep, or he went for a send and it didn't work out, but he got spun, and now we're up into P4, and now we have to try and get back into the DRS of Dovzan instead of being in the DRS of Matthias. And the reason for this is because, as you guys know, DRS is very, very important when it comes to league racing, especially due to, you know, the DRS trains, and if you're not a part of those trains, then you can lose a lot of time. So as you can see now, we're back in the DRS, and I wanted to talk about just my race pace in general now. This would probably be the best opportunity to do that. And yeah, I was very confused over the course of this race because I was losing time everywhere. I thought maybe this was just me driving, but at the same time I was just like, I don't think I'm driving that bad. I even said that on stream multiple times during the race. I don't feel as if I'm driving that bad, but yet we're just losing time everywhere. We're losing time on the straights. We're losing time in the corners as well. You can see we're even losing a little bit of time, even though we have DRS and we're using ERS. Not sure what was going on there. At first I thought, okay, maybe I'm just using higher wings than everybody else, but it turns out that Days Rhombus, my teammate, was using 7.4 wings, whereas I was using 6.4 wings. So realistically, we shouldn't be losing time on the straights, especially to my teammate. Maybe to everyone else, you know, never know what sort of wing setup they were using. But I shouldn't have been losing so much time on the straights because I was actually using lower wings. And then in the corners, again, it's just a lot of time that we're losing. This lap is pretty good. I feel as if we didn't lose too much time there, as obviously during this section here, we could have taken that a lot better. We could have used a lot more of the curbs. But yeah, you'll just notice that just random times throughout the lap, and especially on streets as well, we just lose time when we really shouldn't be. And I mean, look at right now, we've already lost about a tenth just from the past couple of corners. And just take a little notice at our time to Dovzan there. We were gaining time a little bit, but then we start losing time, and then we start gaining time again, and then we start losing time, and it's very confusing. I honestly have no idea what was up with the car this race, or what was up with me this race. But moving on to lap 7 now. At this point, I was thinking, damn, I should have pit, because I didn't know whether or not Days was gonna pit. As you can see, he is ahead of me. Didn't know whether he was gonna pit this lap or not, because we did have, I believe the person who was in first, he went into the pits, and then the other guy in second place went into the pits, I believe, as well. And I thought that maybe Days was gonna pit to sort of cover the undercut from them, but he didn't. So that allowed us to go into the pit. So I decided to try and do maybe an undercut on my teammate and see if that will work. See if maybe just being ahead in and having that sort of track position in that DRS train would help us out. Let's see where we come out now. I believe we come out in P11, maybe no, we're actually P10, and that's where we stay until the next lap. And at this point I was thinking, okay, well, usually the undercuts are pretty good around here, so we should be able to get past our teammate. But this just proves how slow our car was, or we were. This race, again, just very confused. Days actually overcutted us, and he overcutted us by a pretty decent margin. Now, fair enough, they had the DRS going down the back straight, but other than that, they didn't have DRS for the rest of the lap. So it is just raw pace that I'm lacking here. But luckily on lap 11 we end up finally catching up to Kevin, and once again, you know, this just proves our lack of pace here. He's not got ERS, so I thought, okay, we'll use our ERS alongside our DRS to try and make the move, and even then it still took us quite a while to actually make the overtake happen. Just about once we get to the braking zone is when I'm able to pass, braking later than Kevin due to the fact that he's still on the medium tires. I believe he did start on the medium, so his medium should be pretty worn, and bugger off, it was a very similar overtake except he didn't have DRS, so it made it slightly easier. But even then, you can see it does take us quite a while to actually catch up and make that pass happen. But yeah, other than that, honestly, this second stint was very boring, guys. Nothing happened. We were losing time to the guys ahead, and we was in the sort of limbo state where we wasn't really losing time to the guys behind, but then we were losing more time to the guys ahead. So this second stint was pretty boring, which is why I've skipped over to the end of the race. Bondrax in the Alfa Romeo ends up winning the race, so GG's to him. GG's to my teammate as well. I do believe Days came in P2. I believe he had an incident with Ravon that stopped him from winning the race, which is kind of a shame for him and the team. But yeah, our race was pretty poor, to be honest. P7 was not the result I was looking for going into this race, especially with our qualifying position and our recent pace just in general. You know, I feel as if in PSGL we had some decent pace in this tier. It's just the fact that we've either made some mistakes, or we've just not really had luck on our side and stuff like that. So yeah, that's going to be it for this video. A bit of a weird one when it comes to league racing. I know usually my league racing videos don't go anything like this, where we skip quite a big portion of the race, but there's not really much else I could have shown you guys for that. So if you did enjoy this video, make sure to smash the like button. Let me know in the comment section what you thought about this video, or more importantly, what you guys actually thought about my race pace and why you think my car was so slow during this race. And I'll see you guys in my next league racing video.